Once the child has been taught to read and develop a love for books, he can explore for himself the wealth of human experience and knowledge. Children missing out in getting in touch with books at an early stage find it hard to acquire reading habits in their later years. So how well have children developed this habit of reading, and how well can they comprehend what they're reading? Class 6 students were given a passage titled Intelligent Baboons.
In South Africa, a railwayman named Weil lost both his legs in a train accident in 1877. He was given a signalman's job. He constructed a trolley to move from his wooden shack to the signal box 135 meters away. One day, he bought a baboon for a pet and soon trained him to fetch water, sweep the shack, and even to hand over a special key to passing engine drivers who used it to adjust points further up the line. Jack the baboon, who also pushed Wild on his trolley to the signal box, where he would sit and watch with great interest while his master pulled the levers. Very soon, Jack learned to operate the signals for two of the routes himself. Wild would sit in the trolley ready to take over if the baboon made a mistake. Eventually, Jack became so adept to the job that he carried out the entire operation himself while his master remained in the shack. Till he died of tuberculosis in 1890, the baboon was not known to have made a single mistake while operating the signals over a period of 9 years. In 1972, another baboon was reportedly operating the signals near Pretoria again in South Africa. But unlike Jack, he was paid 1.5 shillings a day and a bottle of beer every Saturday night. Some baboons have also been trained successfully to herd sheep. Studies have shown that the baboon is the most intelligent among the various species of monkeys.
We asked class 6 students the following question. In what way does the baboon near Pretoria differ from Jack? A. It was taught to herd sheep. B. It operated signals in South Africa. C. It was paid for its services. Or D. It did not report to anyone.
Because they have written that Jack was the name of the baboon, which helped him to control the signals.
Okay.
So only they have known that it operated signals in South Africa.
The baboon was helping the man in many ways. Then it was taught to operate signals which helped them. So I think so it operated signals in South Africa.
Okay. So tell me one more thing. Is there any sentence in this paragraph or the passage which tells you that the answer is B?
Very soon Jack learned to operate the signals.
A. Tell me one.
Because only the baboon could herd the sheep, because the railwayman Weil could not do that. As he had broken his 2 legs, he was not able and was not even given that he could do that. That's why that baboon was differing from Jack, because it is not written that he also did that.
Here some baboons have also been trained successfully to herd sheep. So I thought it is A.
There are 2 things happening here. One is the students are not registering what the question is asking of them, and they are also not able to highlight the specific aspects of both the baboons' lives. They have not realized that a general statement made about some baboons who herded sheep has nothing to do with either Jack or the baboon near Pretoria. They have understood that both the baboons operated signals in South Africa, but the fact that this is a similarity has not really struck them.
Over 7,000 students in class 6 were asked this question. 41.1% students thought the answer was B, only 38.1 students answered it correctly.
Because Bentley bought only one baboon, he named him Jack. So we are talking about one baboon. The whole passage there is only one baboon.
Okay. So you're saying why you bought one baboon at
Okay. How did you get that?
Because the one baboon was wild and another one was Jack.
One baboon was wild and the other one was Jack. How about you? What do you think? How many people? How many baboons?
I agree with her only.
You agree with her? Yeah. Two baboons. Okay.
Students are expected to read the passage and identify the following facts about the two baboons mentioned in the passage. On one hand, there is Jack, who is a pet, has a name, operates signals to help his master. While on the other hand, there's another baboon who operates signals but is getting paid for his services. Students seem to miss out on understanding these similarities between both these baboons.
I think it's right because he did the signals but he was paid for his work, and whereas Jack, he wasn't paid for his work. That's why he just obeyed his master and he was not paid. So he's different from Jack. And Jack was Wild's pet, and it was trained to do so. And all the what it was, it would go for Wild. And this baboon, it used it on its own. It used to use signals, and it used to be paid.
There are exactly two baboons. First in the first para in South Africa in 1877 there. And one more was in 1972 again.
Okay.
We expect that students should be able to read any passage that is given to them carefully in order to comprehend it. We find that good readers are able to get the gist of anything that they read, while the weaker readers miss out on the facts and the connections in the narrative. In this passage, students who are good readers are able to identify the exact point of difference between the two baboons, while the weaker readers focus only on the words or on disjointed pieces of information, as a result of which they miss out on the larger point in the passage. There are many ways to handle reading comprehension in the class. You can encourage children to read different kinds of passages, visualize the events that happen in the passage, mentally sequence them, and try to summarize them in a few points. Now let's go to this particular passage and this question that we are talking about. Ask them to read the passage carefully for 5 minutes. Then ask them a few questions proceeding from simple facts to deeper facts. Ask them questions like, what is this passage about? Who is this passage about? Who are the main characters in the passage? Identify the events of each character. Underline the points of commonality between the two characters. Find out which point is different between the two characters. Find out which word helped you to identify this difference. Then identify the sentence that tells you this word is present there. And finally, ask them to choose the correct option for this question. And in this way, use passages of different kinds from popular magazines and newspapers and focus your questions according to the question that you want them to answer.
What we saw in the student responses over the last few minutes was that students have certain mental models, ways of thinking about the world, certain ideas, And clearly these ideas are not what we intended to pass on to them as teachers or interested adults. These are ideas children have found by actively trying to make sense of what they are seeing around them or what has been taught. What is, however, important to understand here is that the instinctual reaction of adults or teachers when they see these kind of responses is to say that, let me explain this again, let me explain this more clearly, 2 times, if not thrice. This is bound to fail. So what we find is that it's extremely important for a teacher to listen first, find out what is already on the child's mind, to then help the child to review the correctness of this idea, weigh it against other ways of thinking, other mental models, to really be able to say that no, this didn't work and this is a better way of looking at things. And our hope is that teachers start doing this based on seeing films like this. You have seen just one concept, but there are several such ideas across class levels, across topics. And this is our hope, that teachers will become active listeners and we will have a chance to teach our children better.